My name's Jason Harris. I'm from the Beaumont, Texas area, about 100 miles outside of Houston. And man, this has been a wild ride. Literally, a couple days ago, Vanessa and I, my wife, we just celebrated our 14th year anniversary with this company. So amazing ride. I honestly can't believe it's been 14 years. It's pretty crazy, but here we are. And to think about what our life looks like today in comparison to where we started, it's night and day. Because I was a small business owner, had no life. If any small business owners in the room, small business owners, right? More married to your business than your family, you know what I'm saying? That was me. I was working 12-hour days was pretty normal, sometimes more than that. I would see my boys when I'd take them to school, and then other than that, I hoped to see them before they went to bed. And I was looking for a change, and that's when Nu Skin came into my life. And I don't know about you, I was not looking for Nu Skin. Nu Skin came looking for me. It was an answer to prayers, honestly. And that's where we want to get into this topic a little bit. And for my Latin people, y'all might see my little AK up there, my El Tocino. That's me. For those that don't speak Spanish, that means the bacon, because I'm about to bring the sizzle, baby. We're about to have some fun today. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to have some fun, but we're going to have a pretty interesting topic today, because we're going to really get in and talk about personal responsibility, because in this business, that's really what it's about. So let's just talk about responsibility and what that means. If y'all look at the screen, the definition, right? The state or fact of being responsible, answerable, or accountable for something within one's power. That means we're talking about you guys. You have the power to control or management. And when you really think about what that means, I love it, because when I really step back and think about the power that we have to change our lives, really we could start tonight. By one decision, by creating it and owning 100%, right, responsibility, and saying, no matter what, it's up to me. You know, look, we all went through some craziness in June, right? It doesn't matter. It's still up to me, right? My business and the success of my business is not dedicated or dependent on my upline, my downline, anything else. It's all on me. It's 100%. And when you start owning 100% responsibility, we kind of get there. So let's start a little bit with a couple truths that we're going to be going into. So really, when we talk about, well, there it goes. Two truths that we're really getting into. A little delay there. One, that no one's going to bail you out of this business. It's no one else's responsibility to bail you out. You have to do the work. Period. No one's going to show up and do it for you. You have to make the calls, and you can never say, well, I called my upline like 4 times yesterday, and they never called me back, so that's why I didn't. It ain't their responsibility, right? Because ultimately, if you build a large organization, do you think you should spend as a leader with people that deserve your time or that beg and whine for it? Right? We have an expression in this business, we call them ask holes, right? They ask all the questions. They go to all the conferences. They read all the books. They don't do anything, right? And it's a problem, right? So no one's going to bail you out of this business. That's number one. Number two, no one owes you anything. Let's just be really real about this. No one owes you anything. You got to get out to it. So let's talk a little bit. You know, there's this old saying that hard times create strong men, and strong men create good times. Now, if you're strong in this business, right, you can create some pretty good times. We have some good times with this business, right? You can earn some great success trips. You can earn a lot of leverage in your life. For me, I was able to gain my time back to where I was a present parent. That was huge for me. I was a great financial provider in my traditional businesses, but I was not a present parent. And you know, y'all have heard me say this on multiple calls, but it really sucks when you have the realization that you have 18 summers total with your kids, and they're gone. And I realized I was working through most of them. I had that realization when my oldest was 8 years old. He is 21 and out of the house now. Thank God, especially during 2020, 2021, when he was going through some pretty serious times, that I had time to be there. right? Because we never know what life is going to throw us, and life is going to throw a lot at us. This life's hard. There are times where, living where we do on the Southeast Texas, I can't tell you the amounts of natural disasters we've been through, all the COVID situations we've been through. Hell, we had a refinery explode next to our house and blow the windows out of our house, right? Could we have ever predicted any of it? Nope. But we had to sit there and talk about who are we going to allow ourselves to be a victim of circumstance, or are we going to overcome it, right? Because also sometimes good times can create weak men, and weak men can create hard times. And if you're not careful in this business, you might gain some success, right? You might gain a couple success trips. How many of you know people that worked really hard, made a success trip, and are no longer in this business? I know people that went to South Africa on the company's dime, right? And are gone. They made a whole lot of money, but then all of a sudden they realized this business is tough. I actually got to work. That first 6 months of bliss doesn't stay forever, right? And so if you're not careful, it could create an environment to where you create some very hard times for yourself. And that's what you really have to talk about, because sadly, in this world, we're honestly living in a society where we celebrate victimhood. And that's just hard. That's just truth, right? It's almost virtuous to be a victim these days, right? Poor me, right? Look at all the groups out there, right? All the groups. Or the person that something happened to 10 years ago, and that's still their identity. Right? Because why? Why do people love to glob onto this? Because if they can be unique, right, and kind of get in with some clique or some group where everybody's their best friend, everybody's supporting them, everyone's placating mediocrity or less, right? It's one of those problems where, especially throughout this social media world, because heaven forbid if you have an honest opinion about anything, right? Or speak actual truth. Because when we talk about, honestly, what goes into responsibility, let's talk about the last 3 years, right? It's the ability to respond. So what did more damage? I believe more damage was done in the last 3 years to most people, whether psychologically or financially, not because of what happened, but because of the response to a situation. And that's just really where it is when you really look at it. So I want to tell you a quick story, because this happened on a success trip in 2015 to Punta Cana. That man in that wheelchair right there was a world-class kickboxer, owned gyms, had it all. I mean, pretty awesome life. He's from Argentina. Now, he's in that wheelchair because he got in a car wreck, his family died, he's paralyzed. So athlete, can't do his business anymore. He's done. He can't really train anymore except just by voice. Family passed away. During that time in Argentina, they couldn't get product. That's awesome. They're still trying to qualify for a success trip. Him and his team made it just off Vitamil donations alone. That's it, right? It was one of those circumstances where you realize that, hey, look, we complain sometimes with the glitches we have or little things. What if you couldn't get product for months because of government, right? They did everything basically just through Vitamil because they said, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's up to me, period. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And if I want to make this trip, it's not I can't do it. It's how can I do it? And they made a way. They figured, screw it. I can feed kids. Let's go feed a bunch of kids. And they made the trip. And what's interesting about that whole trip, all he wanted to do was touch the ocean. And so that face right there is when me, and if you don't notice, a very much younger Blake Tillotson in the back, we all carried his wheelchair into the ocean, and immediately when that water touched his feet, that's the reaction. Right? Because there's a way. So what I want to get across, guys, again, you're going to have hard times in this business. It's going to happen. But you know what? You can choose your hard, because every business that Vanessa and I built, we had hard times. We had real estates fall through on a bunch of stuff that we already paid a ton of money. It wasn't even we didn't have anything to do with it. Banks changed stuff, lending changed, this and that. We had traditional businesses, we had employees that called in sick, called in late, quit, did this, did that, labor cost, all this supply chain stuff. There's always a problem, and we can always get back, because I think there's nothing more simpler than to be an employee. And I'm just to be real with y'all, because someone owns everything. They dictate your standard of living. They dictate your time. All you have to do is show up. They do your whole schedule for you. You don't have to think, right? You just show up and do what they're told, but yet they own everything. They're gonna pay you what they're willing to pay you, not what you're worth, not what you have to pay. So who's really, again, dictating your worth? Right? When I realized, you know what? Why am I going to sit here and let some employer tell me when I'm worth $25 an hour when I could be making $1,000 an hour? And when I did that first in my small business, it really opened my eyes. I was like, man, there's a lot of money to be made out here. I mean, I would do that every day, right? But you get to these points where when you start full on taking responsibility for your business, for your life, for your future, and understand that you can literally create your future. And with this business, what's amazing, when you full on take responsibility for it, it is limitless. It's truly limitless. That's what I love about this business, because no one, from corporate to your sponsors to anybody else, is ever going to say, you only can make 5 calls today. Right? You'll never hear that. You can make 100 calls a day. Right? You could do 100 demos a day. It's truly limitless. When you look at what you can create, as far as you can go 50 countries. There's no cap on incomes. There's no anything. It's all about work. And what are you willing to fully own it and then not say and blame, because we've all heard it. And listen, moms, I might touch a button here. Don't blame your little kids that you're quitting the business because of them. It's truth. You know how many times women join the business because they want to spend more time with their kids, and they say that my kid says I'm on the phone. You know, kids are selfish little creatures. Let's just be real. Right? They come out of the womb saying, my. And you're going to allow a toddler to talk you out of your dreams and your goals? Are you kidding me? Let's be real about this. Right? How many times your kids want to share something? They say, no, mine. Yeah, they want to do that with everything. So just like they're doing it and pulling at your heartstrings and talking you out of going for your dreams, that's for their future, because this is a generational business. You know, why don't you just sit there and give them a toy? Because they do the same thing over a toy, even though they do over your phone, that they're typically in the habit of going after anyway for their entertainment. So listen, guys. At the end of the day, you can't hire someone to do your push-ups. You got to put in the work, right? Jim Rohn is famous about talking about this, right? You can't do it. You can't hire somebody to do it. You have to put in the work. But as anybody in this front section can tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it. And the stuff that Vanessa and I have been through over the last 14 years of this business, it's insane. I mean, we've had entire teams go to other companies. We've had entire teams just blow up. We've had where we felt like we're on an island by ourselves at times, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter, because ultimately, Vanessa and I would have a talk that, ultimately it starts with us. And I'm not responsible for anything outside of our organization, period. And I can control that. I can be the best servant leader that I can be and take 100% full-on responsibility. And if you're willing to do that, you can create a different kind of life, if you're willing to go for it. But that's what it takes.